Is welcome back to My Unpopular Opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. So I wanted to get on here and talk about this most recent episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. In this episode, we got to see a little bit more into what is happening as far as the court case between Melody and Martell. And I'm actually surprised that we got to see a little bit more into the case, because before this season I didn't really know exactly what we would get. But I love that Melody is exposing everything that has been going on, even though people got to see the case, because I do believe it was public record. Now we know from the horse's mouths what was really happening, and it just goes to show that Martell is, in my personal opinion, the most disgusting man that could ever be a part of anyone's family. Like, he is a nightmare and the exact opposite of what anyone would want for a husband, ex-husband, or father of their children, in my personal opinion. So I want to start off with Martell getting upset with his mother about what she had to say on the stand. Now, normally I do not agree with Miss Marlene. I mean, we see that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree as far as brains and intelligence, okay? We understand that Martell gets his lack thereof of intelligence from his mother. And some would even say she needs to put the bottle down, allegedly. We don't know. But in this case, I agree with Miss Marlene. I'm happy that she got on the stand and that she didn't say as much, and she didn't really go in on Melody like her son Martell wanted her to. And so this is how we know that Martell uses manipulation. Not only does he use manipulation on the women that are his subjects and victims, is what I will call them, but he also uses manipulation on even his own mother. You saw in the scene he was manipulating her, saying, "Mama, you was supposed to speak up for me. You know, you were supposed to show up and show out. You my mama, I'm your son." That's him manipulating her, using the fact that he is her son to his advantage, saying, "I'm your son, she's not. You need to bash Melody." And that goes to show he's been doing that. And this is probably why, Melody has been bad-mouthed by Martell's mother so much on this show, and it's probably because Martell has pressured her to do so. Just like Chris Fletcher also got brought up, that he took the stand and Martell wanted him to bash Melody and lie for him. And in the scene where Melody was in the kitchen with Chris Fletcher and his wife, Melody said, "Yeah, I believe Chris told the truth. He said what needed to be said, and he wasn't going to lie for anyone." We know that Martell allegedly wanted Chris to lie for him and to bash Melody. And so that's what Martell does. He uses his friendships and his relationships with people to get them to speak poorly about Melody and attack Melody. And when they don't do it, as you can see, he gets frustrated and he has to go and try to pull on heartstrings to get them to do so. So shortly after that, Melody mentioned to Chris Fletcher that he was putting up Martell's home for sale, correct? And Chris Fletcher said, "Yes, we have it under contract, that it is going to be sold really soon." And so obviously Chris is doing the business dealings with the home and the selling and things like that of the home. I'm not sure if he owns it, but it's clear he's doing the business, and that's how Martell was able to rent the home to begin with. You know, Martell, he's not smart, but he is charismatic, and he uses that to his advantage to have little connections here and there with people to get people to help him out with things. You know, scam artists, they're always really, really charismatic, and that's how they get people to do the things that they need to get done. So after that, Melody was talking about how her attorney had to bring to light that Martell, his home was up for sale and things like that. So we don't even know. And so Melody said, "Well, that might be why he asked for me to pay his attorney's fees, because he's probably having financial issues." And Nell was like, "Oh, so he's broke." I don't always trust Nell when it pertains to the Melody and Martell situation, but I do feel like I love that she said that, because she knows that Martell is broke. Chris Fletcher knows Martell is broke. Melody knows Martell is broke, and so I love that they played it off as if, I don't know if he's broke. But in reality, they were just bringing to light, like, clearly he's doing all this extra vindictive stuff. He's trying to get Melody's money. He's trying to see how much she makes. He's requesting that she pays attorney fees and all these different things because he is not having money. And that's what gets me about Martell, is the fact that he lives his life as if he is just so rich, like going around making 50 children. You know, you already got 4 with one woman that you treated like garbage, in my opinion, and then now you have 2 allegedly, you know, the one, and then possibly the secret baby that they're hiding, and who knows what other children around America he has possibly out there, okay, that we just don't know about. But he lives his life as if he has so much money. You know, I don't agree with Nick Cannon, but at least Nick Cannon actually has money, actually has gigs, actually has jobs and stuff. Like Martell's one job is, well, he has 2 jobs. His 2 jobs is F&Bs, okay, and getting them pregnant, in my opinion, and scamming people and loving Mary Huntsville. So I guess that's 3 jobs. So Chris Fletcher then says that he asked Martell to just drop the whole case and just, you know, stop going forward with it, because in my opinion, he was telling Martell that because he knows that it's full of crap. He knows that none of it's true. He knows that it's based on nothing but Martell being upset about the marriage dissolving. And the sad part about it is Chris said, you know, he doesn't want to go too much into detail, but he mentioned, you know, he knows everything changed after him having the baby. And that gets me, that Nell Fletcher, and guys, in this video, if I say Nell, I'm talking about Nell Fletcher. If I'm trying to say Melody, if I mean Mel, because I know they're Mel and Nell, but earlier in the video I said Nell and I meant Nell Fletcher. So if I mean Melody, I will say Melody. But it's sad that all of the people around, everybody on the show, all the producers, Messy Carlos King, Nell Fletcher, and Chris Fletcher, especially because they were couples friends with Melody and Martell and things like that. They know the ins and outs. All of y'all know that Martell is doing this stuff to hurt Melody, attack her, affecting her children, trying to get full custody, trying to do all this vindictive stuff, doing a smear campaign. And y'all all know it's full of BS. And y'all still entertain it. Y'all still be his friend. Y'all still support him. Chris Fletcher, you should be ashamed of yourself for even getting up on the stand at all. If it were me as Chris Fletcher or Nell Fletcher, I would have flat out said, Martell, I'm your friend, but I'm not getting on the stand at all. I don't want anything to do with your marital business. But the fact that they would even get on the stand is disgusting. The fact that you would even get up there on Martell's behalf is disgusting. The fact that, you know, Tisha and Marcel, all the other people on the cast, that they all know the truth too, and they still team up against Melody for Martell. It's really, really sad at this point. And sometimes, you know, it makes me think that those claims about Martell having tea on a lot of the people on the cast, that might actually be true. And the saddest part of all to me is the fact that Martell is really just doing all of this to destroy Melody. Like, he's constantly trying to think of any new scheme, scam, and new angle that he can attack her or hurt her. And when she was in the scene talking about her fighting for her babies, I was just disgusted at the fact that she would even have to say that a mother would have to fight for her children. And Martell knows that Melody is more than qualified as a mother. He knows that she's fit. He knows that she's a well-rounded woman and person, and motherhood is something that's important to her. So the fact that he would know that and still be vindictive and try to smear her and make it seem like she's not a good mom is just despicable. And I think Martell's new angle to attack Melody is, you know, the kids. I mean, that's not a new angle, but I think he has a new idea with it, like trying to make her feel like, oh, if you don't want the kids, just give them to me. That's what he wishes she would do. Like, oh, just give the kids to me, or give me the kids, because he feels like that will make him have a one-up on her, or make him like bring her to submission. He feels like that is what will bring her to submission, bring her to her knees, and make her break down, as if he takes her kids. And so So it's very sinister. That is just like a sinister plot and plan to do to someone that you were married to for that many years. And any woman and any man who gets in any comments and supports Martell, you are just as disgusting, in my opinion, as he is. Because we all can see clear as day, just like the people around in their circle can see clear as day what's happening. And yet some people will still attack Melody. I don't get it. And I understand everybody has different opinions, but in this particular situation, it's not about Melody being perfect. And she said that, like, oh, nobody's perfect. It's not about her being perfect. No one thinks Melody's perfect. We just know that she's not this terrible person Martell is painting her to be, and we just see that he has a clear plot, plan, and vendetta to attack Melody, and he's willing to do this by any means necessary, even if it means taking her to court for her children over something ridiculous. Now, Martell also, like I said, people were like, oh, you guys give him too much credit. You know, somebody said that in a previous video I did about him. Like, you give him too much credit. I think about the name changing. Like, you think he's that smart. No, it's not that I think he's that smart. I think that when you're not that smart, you end up learning how to be manipulative in other ways. I think Martell is very manipulative, and I think that he uses, like I said, his charisma and things like that to create connections with people. I'm sure his connection with his attorney, it was probably like a friend or somebody he knew and like hung out with or whatever, that's like helping him with the case, or probably like, you know, trying to give him a deal on the case or something like that. But I say all that to say that it's clear that Martell is not super smart, but he's definitely become clever, and he's learned to build connections with people that help him in the long run, and he's learned to be manipulative in that way. And that brings me to the point of what Melody said about the judge being biased, and that's so unfortunate. And she said it was a woman, probably a black woman, and as we see, a lot of black women end up listening to Martell's sob story, probably side-eyeing him, looking at him like they probably think he's cute or want to undress him or something. You know, a lot of these women just be thirsty. The judge is no different, listening to his sob story. And because Melody would not provide him with her phone number and wanted him to contact her via email, the judge decided to close out the case by saying that it's clear that the mother is not co-parenting effectively or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. And I think that is just so disgusting that the judge, with all the evidence that was provided, and it's on a freaking reality show, of all the harassment and disrespect that Melody has taken from Martell. So it's clear as day that she has tried to co-parent effectively, considering she even invited him on a trip to Florida with her mother, his mother, and that was her trying to create that experience for the children and co-parent. All of that evidence is there, but this judge still chose to ignore it. So that lets me know Martell and his bootleg attorney probably tried to pull a few ghetto strings behind the scenes with this judge, or the judge just might really be believing Martell and his sob story. Like Nell said, a lot of black women are trying to empathize with men these days, like, oh, you know, I'm believing the man over the woman, you know. And I think we have to watch that and kind of like have a happy medium and just use our discernment. And it's clear as day in this situation, Melody has tried to do what she can to co-parent and be around Martell, but it's impossible when you have a narcissistic lunatic you know, trying to dictate and control every single thing. There's no way that any judge in America in their right mind would see a divorce case and see that the ex-husband filed to figure out who the woman has been with romantically and everything like that. Now, if you're asking for, and social media passwords and stuff like that, if you're asking for stuff like that, it's clear as day that you are still invested in this person, too invested even after a divorce. So how can you be a judge and not see that? It's clear something is up with that, and I'm happy Melody is appealing it, and hopefully she can get a non-biased judge that is not in any sick ring with Martell in any way. Who knows? You know, he loved using his member to to manipulate women. I wouldn't be surprised if he done whipped it out on a judge, allegedly. Who knows? But y'all, I think this topic is just sad. I'm not gonna cover the entire episode because it's just too much. But I did want to just cover what I saw about the court case between Melody and Martell. So let me know down in the comments what you think about this topic, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye bye.